Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to one more edition of Dojo Live, connecting experts like you, just like you. Okay, today we have, this is Carlos here in our beautiful Mexico City offices. And joining me today as co-host is my fellow teammate, Tulio Siragusa from LA. Hi, Tulio.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here with us. And also, as a special guest today, we have Eric Shepard. Eric is the founder and CEO of Trill. This is a platform that creates bookable experiences from social travel content. Welcome to today's interview, Eric. We're very glad to have you here. Honored.
Excited to be here.
Likewise. So, okay. Well, today's conversation is going to be around the future of travel. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how about creating, like I said, bookable experiences from social travel content, and I personally look forward to that. I have a special interest in this particular topic. So I'd like to start off, Eric, by tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about Trill, and then we can move on to your chosen topic of the day. Welcome to the show. The mic's all yours.
All right. So a little bit about me. I started my career working at a music and technology company for about 8 years in the hospitality space, helped the company get acquired, and then I left and joined another hospitality startup in technology, more front of house CRM systems for a lot of nightclubs and restaurants and some hotels. Left there about a year ago to start Trill. And we've really seen such a shift in how people are finding places, figuring out where to go, especially from that discovery standpoint. The funnel has really changed. People aren't looking and reading magazines anymore. They're not calling their parents' travel agent as much anymore. They're not looking at TripAdvisor anymore. They're looking on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, seeing where their network, people they follow are going. This is a big movement, and Trill is here to really take that content and structure it properly. The social media channels do a great job for a lot of things, but actually structuring that content properly is something they're not focused on, and they're worried about so many other things. So maybe I'm looking on Instagram and I see an amazing picture of a friend, or maybe it's a travel publication that I follow in Portugal. And I have to go into the geotag and zoom in and see where that location is. And then I have to go leave Instagram, do some research, let me find some hotels or different things in that destination to do and see. And there's too many steps there. We want to eliminate those steps. And we're really building a dual-sided marketplace. So on one side, we're trying to help content creators, whether they're influencers or travel photographers, and then as well as maybe some travel publications and some travel brands, help them monetize their existing content, drive an additional revenue stream for that additional content that's just sitting there, and reward them for showcasing their experiences and making that actionable. So that's one side. And then the other side is giving consumers the ability to really plan and book through a different lens. So, the normal online travel agencies out there, they'll type in Amsterdam and they'll see the usual hotel stock, crappy content. And right now, a lot of companies are so successful with their rich content. I mean, you look at Airbnb and revolutionize that industry, but what really makes them successful a lot of the time is their content. So we're very content focused. And when someone types in Amsterdam on Trill, they're seeing rich content from tastemakers, from travel publications, from people in their network, with the ability to book off of their content. We're also sorting by hashtag and trending destinations. We're filtering by hotel and restaurant and activities. So really trying to give the consumer a unique approach to planning and booking a trip through user-generated content, through rich content.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric.
Sure.
Tulio, let's start off with you. You're muted.
Yeah, it would probably help to unmute myself.
Yeah. All right, so Tulio, the
back to
mic's
the
all yours.
1920s where there were silent movies. No, I'm actually really curious to find out. I'm always interested in how entrepreneurs come up with their ideas. And what was like that moment that was like I wish there was this that gave genesis to this whole thing.
Yeah, I think there was a couple layers. Always been really entrenched in travel and really passionate about it. I studied abroad in Barcelona during college, and I started a blog with one of my buddies called The Broad Handbook. And this was before smartphones and really Facebook was just coming out. There was no Yelp or anything like that. And this was where to get your computer fixed, to where to get your laundry done in the area, kind of for the locals that are taking over that city. And then obviously the where to eat and drink and, you know, what are the best airlines to fly and just kind of that handbook that you pass down to your friends. And we had it in about 10 cities and it was just a side passion project. I think it was a little before my time there, but always into travel. And then, you know, just struggled booking travel for the longest time as an avid traveler, and no one really solved a lot of my problems. So the first problem was I want to go skiing one weekend, and I just want to type in ski and see where my network's been skiing, and then also I have to type in different hotels and different areas. So I had to type in Colorado and Vermont, and I couldn't just type in ski. So that was one area. The other area was I wanted to see where my network was going and where they were going when I wanted a book, not going back to Instagram, back to Facebook. I hate all these people that post on Facebook, hey, any recommendations in Paris this weekend? Like, you should know where your network's been. They've posted it everywhere. The people you follow, they constantly post it, but it's not structured. So that was kind of one of these, you know, changing the way people search. Everyone's experience-based. The search was very point A to point B. I'm leaving New York and I'm going to Amsterdam. We wanted to really change that up a little bit. And then some companies inspired us the different paths of the journey. One is a company called Like to Know It in the fashion space. So a little bit different from our travel guys that are listening. But what they've done is really revolutionary. And we've seen this movement in socially driven commerce. So it really started in fashion. So this company basically helped these fashion bloggers make their content actionable so they can purchase what they were wearing, their network could purchase. So I'm a fashion blogger and I post a picture or an Instagram story on Instagram, and I say to my network, swipe up to purchase this sweater at H&M. So they were the technology behind that, and they powered the fashion bloggers with that link that took their network to H&M. And if their network purchased that piece of clothing, the content creator would get a commission. And huge revolutionary product in the fashion space. And last year they drove $1 billion in retail sales off of their technology. And then when you take a step back, obviously fashion is a big part of social media, but the biggest content in social media, the biggest category is travel. It's about 70% of the content you see on social media is travel related. And again, they aren't structuring that properly for when someone wants to actually book utilizing that content properly. So, you know, a couple different aha moments along the way. And those are really where it came from.
So that's a lot of content that needs to be curated and structured, as you mentioned. How do you go about choosing which data sets to integrate, and what kind of technology are you using to facilitate all that?
Yeah, so we thought Instagram would make the most sense from a content perspective. Obviously, the most rich content there. Everyone's really posting aggressively on travel, so that was kind of easy. But integrating with their APIs is obviously difficult, and you know, as we know, that's changing every day, and it's the hottest topic on every news channel. So Some people are a little scared about that, but I'll kind of tell you where we're at and what we think. So in about October, they toned back their API for their partners, which was a dagger for us, but not a killer. So basically, we before October, we're able, when someone logs in through Instagram, through our platform, we were able to pull their content, pull the public content of the people they follow, and pull their follower list, which was all part of the grand scheme of what we were trying to create. Now, after October, they said you can't pull the follower list and you can't pull the public content. So that was a problem, but we're really only concerned about that individual's content, and we have basic access, and that's really all they're giving. And I don't see them taking away basic access. They can't really tell me, okay, my name's Eric Shepard, and I posted 150 pictures on Instagram, and I shouldn't be able to post those pictures or showcase those pictures on any other platform. I just don't see them doing that. You never know, but the basic requirements, I think, will still be there to stay. So from that perspective, Instagram makes the most sense, and obviously looking at some other platforms down the road. In terms of looking at some of these tastemakers, what we're calling them, we have databases of thousands of different tastemakers from different sectors. So, just because you're in fashion doesn't mean you travel, doesn't mean you don't travel. They're traveling all the times, whether they're in fashion or models or people in sports or people in wellness. Everyone's traveling, so we're not just travel focused. So we really review their content, and we're more content driven. So, our sweet spot is a micro influencer, someone between 10,000 and 250,000 followers. But we're also interested in what we're calling the everyday tastemaker, someone who might work for WeWork and travel a lot, someone who might work at a PR company for hotels maybe and has great content. So even if you have 1,000 followers or 800 followers, but you have a lot of great travel content, we still want to feature you on the site. So once you log in, we have a process where we review all your content. It's manual right now. We're still bootstrapping everything. That's something that we are looking to automate with either some artificial intelligence or some facial recognition or using Google Places API. So we're playing around with a few things, but of what I've learned, do as much as you can manually first. So we are reviewing the content, and we'll select anything that's travel related, and then we categorize it. Is this a hotel? Is this a restaurant? Or is this an activity?
Great. I would love to, when I travel, I want to have the local experience is what I call it. I don't want to have the tourist experience. Is this set up where it enables me to kind of tap into that kind of experience? Or
the local's the hottest term. It's either local or AI or blockchain, pick one. But yeah, so I mean, we have some people from New Zealand to Australia we have a ski expert, we have some hiking experts. So definitely, I don't love using the word local, but it is from people that are locals, and it's also interesting to see their city. So if someone's based in New York and you're looking at their restaurants, that's a local experience. So we're going to categorize things uniquely. That is local based. So again, you'll have the option to see, maybe it's someone from your network, or maybe it's a local person that's more of an expert in that field. Or maybe, we're also playing with some different travel agents and making their content bookable. So if you even want a customized experience from a travel agent, we have some of these digital travel agents that we're connecting you with as well.
Yeah, so that begs my next question. Who is your customer? Are you eventually planning to license this capability to other travel sites, or what's your strategy there?
Yeah, so there are already some interest in white labeling some of our technology. So that's obviously a play. We really, again, we're building a dual-sided marketplace. So we're starting off on one side and then moving our way to the next side. So right now, our target customer are these content creators, tastemakers. So for us, we're trying to build the platform with rich content. So we're telling them, come onto the platform. We're going to send you an additional revenue stream. All you have to do is sign up, We make your content bookable. We'll give you a link that you could put on your Instagram story, blog, bio, anything like that. These influencers are getting hit up constantly every time they make a post. And what should I do? Where should I stay in Amsterdam? Instead of copying and pasting some link that they have or some email, they could just have the Trill link that makes their experiences bookable. So that's kind of our first customer. The second customer is the consumer. So millennial travelers who make over, let's say, 75K, live in urban cities, travel a couple times a year. They're kind of our sweet spot. So obviously catering to them. We're also talking to some interesting, unique travel companies that might not be on the online travel agencies. And, people might not hear of them. So we're talking to tablet hotels right now to make their content bookable on Trill and driving some traffic to them. Also talking to some boutique hotels that are kind of our favorite. So we have a couple hotels that are signed on. We have the Arlo Hotel in Manhattan. They have a couple locations. We have the Dream Hotel Group. So just starting to get a couple of hotels and making their content bookable, featuring some unique hotels that maybe you might not find on some of the current OTAs, and really a unique experience. So on Trill, we want the users to find maybe some tastemakers, maybe some locals, maybe some people in their network get inspired by their content and book, maybe some unique travel hotels or travel partners, some tour operators, things like that. That they wouldn't find on the traditional OTA, and really a unique kind of futuristic new way to discover and book your next trip.
Two questions. Which big players would benefit the most from licensing this kind of technology, in your opinion? And what would you consider sort of your leapfrog moment? The big moment that propels you to where you want to go. What would that look like?
Yeah, so I think obviously the big OTAs make sense, whether it's a Booking or an Expedia, and I used to have a slide on my investor deck of Expedia in 2000 and Expedia in 2018, and it looks pretty much the exact same. I know they've dabbled with Discovery a little bit, but I think, don't think about Discovery, think more content focused, and I think they need a lot of help from a content perspective. I think TripAdvisor would be an amazing partner. I think they're a little stale right now, and I kind of see this as kind of the TripAdvisor 2.0. I just don't think people are writing reviews anymore. I think they're posting a picture on the beach in Bali at this hotel, and that's their review. A digital word of mouth is really the next phase. So really capitalizing on that. And then your second question, what's kind of that leapfrog moment? I think it's getting a few of these big players on board, whether it's from an influencer perspective and getting them to buy in, and it's kind of like a cult following. So if you get a couple of those big guys on board, they all want to emulate everyone else, and if they're engaging, we see that as kind of free traffic for us and lower customer acquisition costs. So if people are putting it on their blog and putting it on, their YouTube page and their Instagram story. So we think that could make a big push. And then also some sort of strategic investor to come on board and really say, okay, we're behind these guys. And, then it's kind of like a domino effect, and, kind of getting some capital that we need to really take it to the next level. We're still kind of bootstrapped. We really wanted an MVP beta, and that's kind of where we're at now before we start having those conversations.
Great, thanks. So you mentioned MVP. Let's just shift gear a little bit. I'm curious about the culture, the sort of culture you're trying to create. Are you following a lean startup methodology to building out your product, and what's like your philosophy in terms of what you want to be as a company?
We're totally lean right now, and trying to cut every corner we can to make sure we're spending the least amount of money and getting the most out of it. But culture is very important, and really excited to start building a team. And I have a great advisory board right now. And now I'm kind of shifting my focus to let me find the people that are going to be my head of product once I get some money. And let me find someone who, kind of crafting that team and excited about that. And I think culture is really important. And finding people that you love to work with and that challenge you is really exciting to me. So, avidly looking for a technical co-founder right now. And I think that's harder than finding a wife in Manhattan. But connecting with them on a level that makes sense and in so many different ways, it's very difficult. And you can't snap your fingers and say, okay, this is my guy. It takes time. And, so looking to start those relationships every day and aggressively looking to continue that.
So in the time you've come to market with your MVP, have you built a user base that you use to validate features and functionality? How are you going about validating what's next?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it's still a closed beta. We're really just inviting different people that make sense and kind of having them as our founding tastemakers. And once we get a few more of those people on the platform, we have about 350 now that are testing it. Out of that, we have about 12,000 pieces of bookable content so far, which is great. And of that, we have a cumulative reach of about 5 million Instagram followers. So we're pulling out a couple features here and there. And the next would be to really start pushing this network of tastemakers and, getting their feedback. We're constantly asking people and getting a lot of great feedback and trying to iterate. So this kind of first test is exciting and getting a lot of positive feedback and, having people understand we're still in beta and it takes time, but a lot of people are impressed with what we've done with the limited funds and timing. So that's exciting to hear, even though I'm from New York and nothing moves fast enough for me. And I would like to be 6 months further than I am now, but, I understand it takes time.
Right. Well, great. So I love asking the entrepreneurs this question because it gives you an opportunity to be a little introspective. If you had to start over today with all the knowledge you've gained, what would you do differently and why?
Great question. I probably would have hired a few less consultants and going back to some of the consultants I've hired. And I get the line, you pay for what you get. And I wish I could rewrite some of those and save a little bit of money down the road. We've partnered with Expedia from a booking standpoint, and they've been pretty friendly, and it makes a lot of sense for us from an MVP. But they're not the best partner for us down the road. I would have really liked to have maybe tried another partner to prove out the MVP with. We have someone that's in place for more phase 2, but we didn't really have the budget for them. And yeah, I might have had the booking a little bit different, just because from an inventory perspective, we're struggling a little bit. So if someone posts a picture that they're at the Edition Hotel in Miami and clicking book now, Expedia may offer the Edition Miami, but they might offer it 30 nights of the year, 50 nights of the year. A lot of times people are clicking on that and it's not available, and it's not a good use case for us. So, maybe would have went into that and not chose Expedia as kind of our first partner, but we know it was MVP and it was kind of free to set up. So maybe would have went back and done that a little bit differently. But yeah, that's kind of it for now.
Startup life, right?
Startup life. Every turn is different. I could have made a couple, different, or would have wished I talked to this person 6 months before I actually found them,
Right.
A lot of that.
Yeah. Carlos, you have some additional questions. I know this is a topic of great interest to you. I'd love to turn it back to you a little bit and have you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And actually, before we get into to that part, I'd like to remind the audience that if you have any questions for Eric, you can send them to us on Twitter, please, at DojoLIVE. Simple as that. It's very straightforward handle. It's at DojoLIVE. Send us your questions, and we'll get them to Eric, and he'll respond here or at a later time on the website as well. We can follow up on that. Eric, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I do have a question in, and this is about the subjective nature of the travel experience, as I mentioned before we went on the air. Is you're talking about content here, and you're talking about storytelling, and I really, when I first read the term tastemaker, it definitely pulled my attention because you're talking about visual storytelling, right?
Yep.
Now, but I wanted to ask you if you have thought of moving or including, and then this is just from the top of my head, including video as a way of storytelling. And is this in any way technically feasible for the purposes of becoming a tastemaker?
I love video, and I think that's really taking over, as you could see with Instagram stories and obviously Snapchat. Instagram's API is not letting us pull video at the moment. But that is something that we're looking into and seeing if there's some other channels. And we really want to give our tastemakers limited work. With the fashion example I gave, it's a lot of work for them. They have to put a separate link for the sweater or for the jeans or for the watch. And for Trill, it's just one link. It's the same link every time, and we're pulling their content in recent order. So we want to make it really easy for them. But, if we do get some feedback that people want to put in a little bit more work and maybe upload some of their own content or own videos, that's something we will look into. And I think video is so important now. And with this drone footage and, everything like that, I'd love to include that. So it's something we're aggressively looking into, and hopefully Instagram will open that up at one point. And if not, we'll be happy to start getting our tastemakers to upload their content.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And one more, and given the international nature of travel for obvious reasons, right? I was wondering if there's something that keeps you up at night in terms of growing, in terms of growth. I don't know, maybe some things that have to do with either the storytelling itself, the language part, about the submissions to Trill, or any other related aspect, like maybe the tech platform itself, the market challenges, anything that has to do with growth in an obviously international type of endeavor due to the travel nature, the international nature of travel.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and we are focused on the U.S. market from a consumer standpoint, and booking with us. However, as you know, people from the U.S. are traveling everywhere, whether it's Asia, whether it's Australia, whether it's Europe. So the content we're getting from our network is very strong, and it's so easy for anyone in the world. I mean, I just had a couple people from Australia and New Zealand sign up this morning. So I'm not really worried about those challenges. And with Google, it's so easy to change the language, so people could just go and say, okay, let me read this in a different language. For me, I'm a little more concerned on the cycle of booking, from a funnel standpoint. That keeps me up at night. So I see someone looking at some great content and coming to Trill. I don't necessarily see that as an impulse purchase. So I don't see them swiping up and buying $100 sweater, the same as buying 4 nights in Barcelona. But for me, I see it as a lead gen for us and someone to keep getting some traffic to our site, and then us figuring out ways with travel credit and perks and different things like that to get them to come back. So, those are things that keep me up at night, money and marketing dollars. And I see, how much all these companies are spending, whether it's Priceline and Expedia, in the billions. To kind of compete with from a booking standpoint. I know I'm not trying to compete with them. And if I could take 0.25% of what they're doing in bookings, I would be in good shape. But, I don't think from a global perspective, and I think technology makes it easy for me to book and have the booking capabilities to book, hotels in Bali and book hotels in Japan pretty easily. So that's not one of my concerns. I probably have, 20, 25 other concerns above that, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it, Eric. And Tulio, we're approaching the final minutes, the final segment of today's interview. So, if do you have anything else for Eric?
No, I'm really enjoying the discussion. It sounds very fascinating what you're doing. I'm looking forward to you expanding on it and bringing it to market in a bigger way. And certainly, we'd love to figure out a way to help you make that happen as well as you continue to expand. We're good at helping CEOs and CTO get some sleep at night, so we can talk about that. But I guess from a consumer's perspective, do they do everything on your site, or you plan to offer apps with some specific vertical content? What's the strategy there?
Right now, it's mobile web responsive.
Okay.
It works on the phone, and I know there's these progressive web apps that are coming into play. So a little bit of a stronger responsive play. I think there's a little bit of app fatigue. I mean, I've seen it with myself. I'll download an app and I'll delete it in 5 seconds if I don't like it. So not really focused on apps today, if it makes sense down the road. From a consumer standpoint, yes, most of the bookings and the experience will come on Trill, but we're also working with some partners on the affiliate side to drive them to still have that same booking experience on their platform. So, we really have to test and see what works. Do my users want to book on Trill, and are they booking on Trill, or would they prefer to still go to the same channels on their hotel or on my travel partners to book? And that's the testing we're really going to have to do in the next 6 months and see, am I focused on owning the booking, or is it more of a CPC commission model from a direct booking standpoint from either the specialty OTA or the hotel? So that's something that we're aggressively testing to see what makes the most sense.
And are you seeing the industry moving more to like an open garden, more cooperation, or is it still, kind of closed a little bit in terms of the experience that they're trying to offer to the consumer?
From the online travel agency perspective,
yeah.
Hotel perspective, yeah, I think the online travel agencies are trying to incorporate, the Airbnbs of the world and trying to get some of the hotels that they might have not had on there, and they have a lot of power. But I think there's still a lot of unique travel options that aren't featured on the OTAs that people don't know about. And some of these companies don't have the marketing dollars to get out there. And we want to help those companies, some of these unique experiences that you won't see on a Priceline and Expedia. So that's a big focus for us. And I think they're closed off. And I think Airbnb's closed off too for their partners integrating with them. So I think you need 1 million uniques or something to connect with them. I think that's a little aggressive. I would love to feature Airbnb on my platform and drive some leads to them. I don't know why anyone would be upset for driving traffic to their website and trying to generate revenue for them. So, I wish they would be a little bit more open-minded. And I mean, they're open-minded from the hotel perspective, and I think that's smart. And I think offering some of those boutique hotels and experiences makes sense. And obviously, they're pushing more towards the experience side. And I think everyone's trying to get a little bit of piece of that pie. And people are traveling more for the experience now. They want to go see this one thing, and that's what they want to do before they figure out they want to book the hotel and the airfare. They want to go and see, that specific site or experience. So that's a big movement.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. I think ultimately everybody's trying to move towards this aggregation play, but it's the user experience and what people remember when they interface with whatever you're offering up, whether it's curating the content, whether it's making it simpler for them to have a better experience. That's ultimately what's going to win. I see companies like yourself probably enabling, some of those walls coming down. It just serves the consumers best, I think.
Yeah, it's all about the consumer experience, and that's our goal. And user experience is so important. And these successful companies are constantly iterating. And I think the larger OTAs have some work to do to keep up. And you know, it'll be curious to see how they evolve once, you know, some of these newer players. I mean, they have the marketing budget, which is winning a lot, but you know, in a couple years, I'd be curious to see how they do. I also think from a hotel perspective, where I think they're hurting on the loyalty programs. So a lot of our generation is very point centric, and you know, a lot of people that I know who are smart travelers won't book on Priceline Expedia anymore because they want their Starwood points, and they want their Hyatt points, and they want their Hilton points. And I think they're going to see that hurting them as some of the younger millennial generation is just a smarter traveler. So I'd be curious to see if that starts to hurt them in the coming years.
Well, thank you so much. That's all I have for today. I think we're coming up on time. Carlos, back to you if anything else you want to add.
No, actually, no. The only thing left for me to do, Eric, is well, send you a big thank you for having been with us today, and we really have really enjoyed our conversation, and it's very fun, educational, and there's yet a lot to discuss and learn. And of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on Trill's continued success. So, are there any final words of wisdom that you would like to leave our audience with today, Eric, before we go off the air?
Keep traveling and enjoying life and seeing the world, and hopefully you'll be doing it with Trill in the future.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So Eric and Tulio, again, thank you for having been with us today, and of course, thanks to our viewers. And before we go, I'd like to just do a little announcement for about another DojoLIVE interview that we're going to be hosting tomorrow. And actually, we're going to be talking with Pedro Anderson. He is going to be from Winding Tree. I'm sorry about that. And it's also going to be a travel tech related conversation. And the topic is going to be quite interesting. It's going to be about the blockchain and how it can disrupt travel distribution. So that's going to be tomorrow, folks, about the same time as today, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, and right here on DojoLIVE, dojo.nearsoft.com. And that's pretty much all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and I'll see you tomorrow in another DojoLIVE interview, connecting experts like you. Thank you.
Thank you.